right, so we're joined today with Peter Donker and Declan from DNN Connect Association. Is that correct? Is that how we refer to it?
That's correct.
Okay, great. So we want to talk a little bit about the upcoming conference in Ireland, DNN Connect. So I have actually never been to a DNN Connect, and I believe I'm going this year. So I'm very excited, to be able to go and kind of see the event. Now, I have been stalking you guys from afar. I mean, I have been watching live stream keynotes, following, Twitter, hashtag streams, everything. But the purpose of this meeting today is to just kind of understand what DNN Connect is and help the greater DNN ecosystem learn a little bit about the event in hopes of that they would go. So, Peter, we'll start with you and just asking you just the general question. What is DNN Connect?
All right. Well, thanks for asking. And by the way, great news that you'll be coming over to Europe, and that we'll be meeting you in person in Europe for all the Europeans who haven't met you yet. I think that's a great opportunity as well. So DNN Connect, DNN Connect grew out of DNN Europe, right, which was a kind of a vehicle that more or less a banner that a number of Europeans flew under for a while since 2009. When during a number of conferences, we realized that we really wanted to spend more time with each other within DNN, and quite a few people weren't able to afford the $1,500 euros to get into those conferences. So we decided that it would be an idea to actually organize an event, a low-cost event for ourselves, so that we could spend a few days, a weekend together. And in 2009, I personally kicked that off with an event in Switzerland where 25 to 30 people came over. And that was just a very feel-good event. We went skiing afterwards, and all. It's kind of like, reminds me of what DNN Summit is doing. Since then, we had a few other events that flew under the banner of DNN Europe. So there was one in Paris, there was one in Hamburg, and in the end, and then we went to Girona, to where BSense was located. And we realized that we were beginning to attract attention from the other side of the ocean. So at that point, we decided to rebrand, call it DNN Connect, formally create an association, because it was still very vague, like who pays for if there's any surplus in money, where does that go? If there's sponsors, they'd like to have these kind of insurances, etc. So myself, BSense Massanas, and Philip Becker, back in those days, decided to found DNN Connect Association to get a permanent vehicle for these events. And since then, we've been organizing events.
Gotcha. Yeah, and we have similar situations in the U.S. where it's kind of like when we hosted the two events in Charlotte, there was no association, and it was kind of like, wow, we just got all the sponsor money, but now somebody's got to kind of account for that on taxes. So, we then formed the DNN Association in the U.S. So definitely, I'd ask the same question to you. What is DNN Connect as far as the event? Why should someone want to come?
Great group of friends. I think it's the simple answer for me. I've met so many friends over the years from DNN Connect. My first DNN event was actually in 2006 in the Netherlands, would you believe? And we're still going, 18 years later, or 12 years later.
Gotcha.
Meet a lot of people. It means, because I work on my own from home, I have my own office at home, it means I have people that I can discuss problems with, that can help me, and hopefully I can help them from time to time. And really, that's what DNN Connect is for me.
Gotcha. Awesome. And Peter, when you mentioned earlier that it would be good for me to come over to Europe, I flashed back to my last time when I was in Europe, which was I was banned from Finland for a year.
Exactly. I heard that. Yeah.
So hopefully they'll let me in over there. But all right, so let's kind of start with just questions people might have around the conference. So where is the conference located? Obviously you've listed like the town, but specifically, do you have any information about the location where it's going to Like, is it kind of a session format? Like, what should someone expect upon arrival?
I'll let the location, I'll let Declan explain the location. He knows a bit better than I do.
Okay.
Okay, well, the location is at the University of Limerick. As Peter mentioned earlier on, we try to run a cheap event so that it's not too expensive for people traveling from the far side of the Atlantic. And we've gone for student type accommodation, which, let's be honest, is compact, but it is adequate and we have plenty of room, so everybody will have their own room. Limerick is in the southwest of Ireland, easy enough access from Dublin, Dublin Airport being the main point of entry, although those coming from the States may fly into Shannon. Shannon is only just down the road from Limerick.
Right, that's a good point. If we, as you know, anybody flying there, and I know you have it listed on your website, so I appreciate that. But what kind of travel should someone expect once they land at the airport? I guess the major airport, is it like an hour drive or?
Okay, if you land at Dublin, you're looking at getting a coach right outside the arrivals hall.
Yeah.
Coach takes up to 2.5 hours to get to Limerick and will drop you right in the university campus.
Gotcha.
And the charge is €15 each way.
Gotcha. Well, that's pretty good.
No need for car hire, no need for trying to bunk in with other people in cars and all the rest of it. Like €15 on the bus is nothing.
Yeah. Oh no, that's a great deal. And you mentioned the room size being kind of compact because it's a university. And I would say to that, anybody who's going to a conference, if they're spending more time in their room, then they're doing the conference wrong, right? They should be, meeting people and learning.
You hit the nail on the head there, because that's one of my pet peeves. Was, you know, I would be invited to these very glitzy events, large conferences. I'd have a fantastic hotel room that I would barely see, right?
Yeah.
I would maybe spend, I don't know, 5 hours a night, 6 hours a night in the hotel room, knocked out. And and when I would close the door and I would look at all the unused stuff there, from the jacuzzi to the plasma screen and everything, I was like, well, yeah, that was nice, but you know, I didn't get to really enjoy that room, did I?
Yeah.
And so you know, the focus on cost has always been there, because we are above all a network of friends, of like-minded spirits.
Yeah.
That is what draws, of course, all these people to these to our event. Is you know, we've always had this feel-good factor added with you know, nice food and the drinks. You create an atmosphere that is perfect for networking. And like Declan said, you know, I myself also am an independent business owner, so to speak. It's our social event of the year. You know, we come out of our caves and we trot on down to wherever this is organized. We slap each other on the back. We talk a bit of DNN. We talk a bit of clients. We talk shit about clients, obviously, because that's what you deal with. You know, but you exchange some experiences. We actually, to be honest, I mean, we do also hand off work to each other. I mean, sometimes people are involved in larger projects, and work your way there through the event. It is an awesome event for small business owners and independent developers.
Yeah, gotcha. And so I've got another question for Declan. You mentioned that, you know, it would be from the airport like a 2-hour ride to the university. I'm trying to visualize, is Limerick kind of like out in the country, like a university that's kind of out, you know, by itself, or is it like dead in the middle of a city? What kind of environment should we expect?
Limerick is on the outskirts of the city. It's plenty of green fields around it, the River Shannon running right through the middle of it.
Right.
There's plenty of space for those who might bring family to go and walk or just enjoy the area.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, but to be sure, this is for the North Americans. Cities are not the same size. Okay, so when we say just outside of the city, that's still walkable, right, Declan?
I wouldn't be walking from Limerick into the city. It would take you a little bit of time, okay. Yeah. But yes, it is walkable, but I don't know, to guess, I'd say an hour's walk or a little under.
Gotcha. Well, no, I mean, it's fine. I was just trying to understand, like, should I visualize like I'm coming to downtown Charlotte, or am I coming to kind of a, peaceful, quiet university, on the edge of town? So, I mean, it's fine.
Well, the latter, I think. The latter. Peaceful, quiet university out of town.
Gotcha. Good deal. Okay. So, as far as the conference, if someone has never been there, what should they expect as far as format wise? And I come to that from the perspective of DNN Summit, DNN Con, like somebody does a keynote, we have a bunch of sessions, there'll be lunch, and then, events in the evening. What is the flow of a DNN Connected?
Yeah, when we began, it was mostly it revolved around the eating and drinking bits and pieces. So we would start with, and that's what we still do. We start with an evening together. Like you arrive on the Thursday, there is ample time for a drink to start the whole event off, and dinner. Now, because we include all the meals for the whole event, it's a leave your wallet at home or leave your wallet in your hotel room kind of event. Like you don't need it. We take care of everything, and so that was the format where we started off from. Now, the conference has taken more and more importance over the years, and now it's like a full 2-day conference. So we have usually we have 3 tracks over 2 days. Now we do tend to reserve quite a bit of time in between, again, for lunch and for coffee and for tea in the afternoon, and again for dinner. Make sure we stop at time to let people calm down and then join us for dinner. So the flow of the conference, it should not be like, that's the target. It should not be hectic. It should be relaxed. You should be able to, you shouldn't feel chased around the event like, oh, geez, now I've got to I've got to run off here and run off there, and then oh, I might have missed dinner or something. No, everything is at a reasonably leisurely pace.
Right. Gotcha. No, that's good. And you said something that kind of made me remember something. You said it, leave your wallet home event. And I kind of flashed back to David Poindexter when he left his passport at home. So let's just go ahead and address it. For anybody who's trying to travel, what do I need to have to be able to get there?
All right. For Americans, it's a passport book.
Okay. All right. Passport book. I think I have one, even though it's got my little demarcation of being banned from Finland.
Right.
I'm sure it's up to date.
Yeah. I believe it is. So, but I'm going to check it now just to make sure, so that I don't end up in Iceland somewhere.
Right. And they pay in euros. So, it's fairly simple.
Gotcha. All right. So, at an American event, which is the ones that I've been to, sometimes we'll have things like hackathons, or we'll have things like, I don't know, DNN After Dark, or pre-conference training. And these are all like events that kind of surround the conference, like the skiing or fishing, or in Charlotte, I think we took them up to NASCAR and they, ran laps around the track. Are there any events that you guys have planned that surround before, during, or after the conference?
No.
Currently not. We did do a couple of trips, a number of events back, but they were not a huge success. And when we asked our attendees, they were like, well, we had such a great dinner, such a great time at the venue. We felt it was a bit of a distraction to all be bundled into a bus and be driven off somewhere else.
Right.
We focus on getting a venue that is spacious, that has space for all of us, where we can all sleep and eat and drink, and that we can stay, 24 hours a day, basically.
Yeah.
And that should provide a kind of a baseline for the event. Now, in terms of training, training is more oriented towards clients, and we tend not to attract so many, let's say, non-technical and just end user or clients to our event. It's more oriented towards developers and small business owners. So that never really took off on our side either. After events, like I said, we did that once, but again, it ended up being very, very fragmented back in the day, the skiing. So, people just prefer, look, leave that up to us. We'll organize after events ourselves. Vicens and Mark Breen last year took a motorcycle after the event and drove it through the Pyrenees up north. It's up to people what they make of it in the end, but we're not going to centrally organize something.
Yeah, and so you go ahead, Declan.
I know a number of people this year are taking an extra few days just to spend some time in Ireland itself, but that's all entirely organized by them.
Yeah.
If we can assist, or if I can assist with any information they might need, I'll do that.
Okay.
But all the organization is, or do it yourself, really.
Gotcha. And Peter, something you said made me think about the question. Since this is going to be at a university, as an attendee, should I expect that the sessions will be, I guess, in classrooms where professors would be speaking? And if I was a speaker, what type of converters or any like plugins do I need? Will they accept standard stuff? Do I need some, like US to Euro conversion?
I'll let Declan handle that one.
Okay. Well, we have one main theatre room, and it has all the facilities that you could imagine you would need.
Right.
The smaller breakout rooms were in use on the day I was there, so I didn't get a chance to check the equipment, but they do have overheads, and they were in use at the time. So I can only assume that the connections are the same in the smaller rooms as in the main room.
Gotcha.
HDMI, I think, was the preferred option. Gotcha.
I had to ask that on Mitchell Sellers' behalf because, if you don't have that stuff, out there, he's on the DNN Summit side. He's the person who makes sure the speakers know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to elaborate on that point, I mean, up till now, our events have always been held in a really rural setting, far away from any town center or any university. And so we, in Hamburg, it was at the university actually, and in Paris, it was at the Microsoft building, but those are kind of outliers. Usually going to some kind of a rural setting. So we have always, had, that used to be, how shall I say, somewhat secondary, the facilities. People would be dragging a projector into a room and then putting it up and then trying to hook it up to whatever laptop there was. Now we're going to, this is like AAA, the facilities we have now, because they're actually proper classrooms. So it's going to be fantastic for the conference itself.
And to check it out, in April, Peter, Vicens and Kathy are coming to Ireland. And we're going to have a look at the university, and we'll check out the facilities in detail at that point in time. So we'll know in advance what we need.
Gotcha. Good deal. Yeah, so y'all definitely be able to communicate that. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I think DNN Blast from the Past, Cahal, isn't he from Ireland? And if so, will he be at the conference?
Yes, he will.
He will.
Awesome. Good to hear. All right. So as far as the I guess timeline of your conference, like speaker recruitment, I guess, voting on sessions, and then actually announcing who's going to be speaking. Where are you guys at this point in time?
In terms of the content, currently we're still out with the call for speakers. Now, ideally, we'd like to have a schedule nailed out months in advance of an event. Mm-hmm. And over the past few years, we realized that is just not possible for this very simple reason that content shifts a lot in the last couple of months because technology changes, and obviously with DNN we're in flux at the moment. There's a lot of stuff happening. Having said that, the call for speakers is out, and so this is the moment for me to address the viewers of this video. To say, what we're looking for. I mean, we've got our classic, of course, tracks or interest points of how to make a module, how to make a skin, etc. Those, how to tune tweak your DNN to do X, Y, and Z to make it faster, better SEO, etc., etc. I mean, those sessions are still always welcome. But very specifically, this year, I think we're looking at, some of the proposed changes towards DNN Core. So some, people who might have some idea that they want to present, saying, hey, I think we should do it this way, and they have some proof of concept, or they, some demo that they would like to run. I'd roll out the red carpet for that. So I'm thinking of having a track dedicated to technologies that we should look at as we transition to the DNN, whatever comes next.
Yeah.
And also for people who are into, let's say, technology that is of today. So I'm thinking, for instance, of Docker, or thinking of still mobile apps. I think are still always very interesting, especially how they interact with DNN.
Right.
So I'm looking at, I might do a session myself on React Native. I think there are a few other people as well who are involved with that, how to hook up React Native to DNN and build a cross-platform mobile app with that. Those are all subjects that for me have a high priority. So please, start thinking about what you can do. Go to dnnconnect.org/event/2018/speaking, and you'll get a page. If you log in, there will be an add session, and you can add as many sessions as you want to submit.
Is there a cutoff date for that?
There's not as of yet, and last year I think we cut off maybe a month and a half, 2 months in advance of the event. I think it was even less.
Gotcha. Yeah. So with the current sessions that you've got already submitted, are there, I guess, specific speakers or sessions that you're like, ooh, I want to hear that?
I'm sorry, I don't have them right now off the top of my head, but
it's probably kind of early for that question too, right?
Yeah, it's a bit early, but if you go to dnnconnect.org/event/2018/sessions, you'll actually see a list, and you can actually vote for the session that you find interesting. So for all the other viewers, please visit that page and let us know what you think of the sessions that are lighting up there, because as people register their sessions and submit them, they pop up on that page, and that gives people an opportunity to react to what they see.
Yeah, and that, to me, that's kind of a different way of going about it, right? In the U.S., we get all the sessions, and then our committee kind of decides. Whereas you're putting it back on the community, saying, "Hey, tell us what you want to hear," which is pretty cool.
Exactly. We try to do this, and obviously it's a bit of a mix. I mean, it's myself and B-Sense and all of you guys on this page that decide what the schedule will be in the end.
We may have one or two surprises coming forward.
Yes, we are definitely working on a few surprises, and of course, I'm already pressuring Clint to do a keynote as well. So.
Well, the thing is, I would have to bring my interpreter, so I don't know.
We're used to that, Clint, over here, because we have so many different languages.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate it. So Peter, you just said something but I can't remember what it slipped my mind here, what I was going to say, my joke I was going to inject here. But yeah, so as far as the conference, what have I not asked you that I should have asked you? What information do we need to convey that we may have skipped here?
That's a good one. We need more people to register. That's the main one. What's that I see just over your left shoulder on the corner of that shelf? Is that Sean Bubble?
Oh yeah,
I want him over here.
2 Shaw bobbles. I got a Scott Wilhite bobble, and I'm waiting on the Donker bobble.
Yeah, exactly. So I think there's a couple of things I still want to add. So indeed, on the subject of attendees, we're thrilled to announce that DNN Corp will be represented with 5 men, among them Andy, and obviously, for all the Europeans that want to meet the new leadership of DNN, I think this is great. Ash will be there. That's very exciting. Ash is now currently the one technically, in charge of technical matters at DNN Corp. So that I'm really, really happy that you guys are all coming. Let me put that up front. There are also a couple of people from the past that will show up. You mentioned Kahal before. I'm really looking forward to seeing him again. Nick Kalyani has registered, and you'll be coming.
Awesome.
So I'm still hoping that Charles Nurse will actually show up. I mean, he's trying to make it work. He might show up. I think that there will be quite a nice mix of people there at the event. And as Declan hinted at, we're fishing around for some surprises.
And that, I told you something slipped my mind. I was gonna say it, but when you said surprises, that keep me in. Yesterday we had the theming webinar, and Jeff Barlow was on it, and he said that he may have a surprise, to show at DNN Connect. So maybe, who knows? There would be a good time to go.
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that is happening. Of course, there's a lot of stuff that's happening right now with DNN, a lot of new enthusiasm, and we hope to surf on that new enthusiasm, and hopefully a lot of people around the world will take the opportunity to come to DNN Connect this year to learn some of these surprises and find out about surprises.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. It's an interesting time in the DNN ecosystem. A lot of good and positive energy and momentum, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of good conversations. I know I myself am looking forward to it, and I just want to ask you guys: did you know that country music legend Garth Brooks has a song about Ireland? Did you guys know
that? I'm not an expert on country music, I have to admit.
So you can go Google it, but I'm going to share that with the greater community here shortly when I say, hey, I'm going to DNN Connect, because some people on Facebook are kind of calling for my head, right? They're like, you better be there. So,
yeah, indeed.
But yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's going to be an awesome conference.
Just one last thing. So we talked about the low price, but we'd actually put a number on it, right? So.
We didn't cover that. What is
how much? So in any case, you pay this month, February, €350. You get 3 nights sleeping in our luxurious surroundings, cubes exactly. You get all the meals, and you get the whole conference included in all of that. So I think money probably not going to be the object of this. So even for Americans, that should make it fairly interesting to come over to our event. After February, we add another €50, just because we want to pressure you guys, of course, to register early.
Yeah.
And because we've got to pay some bills. So,
Can I just add to that, Peter?
Sorry?
Can I just add to that?
Yes.
Without our sponsors, we could not do this.
Right.
And so our sponsors are really, really important to us. And some of them are on board at the moment. If you want to list them out, you go ahead and do that. But we always accept any more we can get. But without them, we cannot operate.
Right. For now, we have pledged DNN Corp. We have Manage.com and Access, I believe, and ITX.
And 40 Fingers.
40 Fingers have pledged. Did I miss any one of them? I should have that list, of course, in my head always, but you know how these things go.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I know sponsorships are definitely important. I mean, it's the same here in our North American events as well. I mean, it just would not be possible, without the community sponsorship. It's, it is important that we mention that.
Yeah.
The ones I have listed here: ITX, DNN Core, 40 Fingers, Managed, and Access, and DNN. I mentioned DNN Core there already.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, well, I'm definitely looking forward to it. I'm sure it's going to be a great event. Every DNN event I go to, regardless of the location, it always feels like a family reunion to me. You meet the people who answer forum posts and who are on Twitter and Facebook, all these different places. And it's just really good to put a face with the Twitter handle, whatever it may be. So definitely looking forward to it. So any closing comments here before we put this down?
No, I think we covered all bases. So we're looking forward to seeing you guys, and really excited to be doing this event again.
Gotcha. All right. Well, we appreciate the time today, guys, and we will see you all at DNN Connect.
Okay, Jen. Thank you very much.
Thanks.